What the f is this?
Have you ever thought about what you're eating? I mean, really thought about it? You probably thought about it at some point, but most likely only to the extent of what you're gonna eat the next time you're hungry. What's it gonna be? Firstly, probably what lurks in your fridge or cupboard, or maybe use even more modern ways like apps for drop-offs of groceries or deliveries. We can just choose what our tummy desires. I know everyone is eating what they like, what tastes good, but we need this very instance to satisfy our need for eat. That is not the right thing. Otherwise, we have a precarious situation here. A holiday ruined by lack of peanut butter, or whatever you may like to eat. Hopefully you're eating day in and day out, because acquiring food has always been the main reason we did things as humans. And, by extension, every life form does. Food and eating is one of the most basic things there is to life, no matter in what capacity or form. Everyone needs to do it. I personally just love peanut butter. You could smother me in it and I still open up the next 10-kilogram tub right there. No, seriously, I have one here. Do you want me to open it? Can you see? It says right there, Pindakas. Pindakas.
Pindakas. Pindakas. Pindakas.
Someday I decided on trying it and thought it tasted great. It took me a whole 20 years to actually try peanut butter. How did I live life that long without it? I don't know. Most of the foods I'm now eating I have discovered somewhere at some point in life. Every food has a history to it. What we eat is a part of ourselves. It also becomes ourselves. It always means something when we eat a certain food. It represents an emotion, a feeling, an idea, or fond memories of the past. Who doesn't like sitting at a fireplace with your loved ones, enjoying a warm meal you just masterfully cooked? We love food and love the good company that comes with it. What do you like to eat? Do you know why you eat the things you eat? When did you first start eating? Such a weird question to ask. Well, we all started quite literally the same. At the source, you could say. At our mother. From being fed through an umbilical cord to then being breastfed. Our first real meal we enjoy arriving in this world. After maybe a year or two of purely relying on that, we get our tiny little hands on real food, Bite-sized for our small mouths, we most likely get scraps from our parental unit, often squished or otherwise more easy to eat foods. Teeth sprouting, falling out, growing again, and all accompanied by the developing plates right in front of us into full-fledged meals. What has been dished onto these plates is decided again by our parents. We eat what they give us. Our parents always have been the guiding force in this matter. Look at my plate. That's toast. And yes, for all of you non-German people who didn't have any real bread their entire lives and only ate toast, this is bread. This is toast. I ate both of these since I was little, and I still just can't quite let go of them. In itself, they aren't even that grand, but they are so versatile and customizable to your everyday desires. Have you ever tried dates with crunchy peanut butter on it? It's one of the best things you can put on there. I did not grow up with these foods though. I didn't even know dates existed back then when I was a child. But over the years, I developed a wider affinity for foods, all with the breads and toasts mostly staying underneath all of that. But some things did indeed change. As a kid, I always ate a lot of widely social and commercially known chocolate nut spread loaded with questionable ingredients that is directly marketed and sold to you and your children. One similar to this one. It tastes really sweet, which we humans usually like, so it's logical to make these things as sweet as possible without selling us a whole kilogram of sugar directly. I know when I was little I had this bread in front of my face at some point through the choices made by my parents. And I also just went with it. I ate it and it tasted super good. What a surprise. Super sweet. I like that. And I just took it at that. A chocolate spread that was there for my toast. Years and years went past doing that. Until, well, I don't know what changed. I always had things in my hands that kept me busy and my mind somewhere else. So, breaking out of this frame imposed by the environment I grew up in was difficult. I always heard from my mother that I had to eat better. But it took time to after I finished middle school that I really got my head down and think about food. I remember a long, very rocky road where food always has been in some kind of problematic relation to me. First, from being fed things I later found out were extremely carcinogenic, to then letting me decide on my own, completely falling into a pit made out of highly processed chili, gummies, candies, chips, and whatever I got my hands on. I already talked about that this caused my headache at the ages of 8 to 12, and that I went through an MRT for literally nothing because of it. I always loved temperatures. When I was younger, I made a particular one till I got sick. I call it the Röstival toast. It was plain white toast with ketchup and remoulade on top, then roasted onions, mortadella, sandwich cheese, like the not even cheese kind, even more ketchup and remoulade, more roasted onions, and more ketchup and remoulade on the top piece of sandwich. What in the carefully selected bottom of the barrel catastrophic liquid shit mixture was that? Knowing what I know today, this couldn't get any unhealthier if I tried. Literally. I ate this over years until I got my tummy hurt. After that, never again. Later in my teenage years, things like 2 frozen pizzas a day was nothing out of the ordinary for me. I ate at a worldwide known fast food chain every weekend while traveling at some point. recordings of how bad these things were, and I shouldn't eat this and I shouldn't eat that. I acknowledged but not heard. It was a mixture of being numb and deaf, from my mother telling me what to do, and not knowing any better to second guess everything. Modern capitalistic life is often like that. Most kids nowadays probably experienced something similar. It also tasted so good.
Why would I change anything?
When trying to start anew, you wonder what even is food and what is there to eat. It starts with thinking about what these foods in front of me are and why are we eating them. Mom and Dad said to eat them, so they surely must know what they're talking about and what is good and bad. Right? Well, I think that is what we all believe. But, you know, Mom and Dad are also very much human, like we all are, which makes them prone to error and being misled by tricks like over-sugaring the sugar, which we all are. I'm sure they didn't mean harm. Cooking for yourself, trying to assemble meals based on your individual taste preferences, actually making headway with finding foods to make yourself. It's nice when things get traction. Luckily, my journey of discovery led me into a wider array of foods, rather than different varieties of toast at different times of day. It was very exciting finding all this stuff that was not known to me, yet in such close reach all these years. At times tedious, and I surely made some interesting experience, but absolutely worth it in the end. Actually eating something that has proven good for us? Hell yeah! Your feeling, body and feeling in your body change accordingly. I now create my meals with chosen ingredients myself. And I base these decisions on more than just taste anymore. I choose foods that help me in some way. Help me stay healthy. It's such a pervasive task to get a grip on this mess that currently is going on. But after taking these steps myself, I couldn't imagine how anyone would not or could not do that. At the beginning of my stumbling around in nutrition to find out what was good and bad, I was pulled in every direction possible, from A to Z, up and down, front to back, with information saying this, information saying that. Yet nothing really seemed right. All these sensationalized headlines in online magazines or claims in mainstream media that this will change your life, that this hack will help you lose weight quickly, healthy diet this, healthy diet that, or whatever it is that now generates the most short-term clicks, is a nightmare to go through. Every time this would-be valuable help sacrificed for someone's personal gain. Everyone wanted to go further as to look into the actual science behind these claims, and from that point on, it's a whole different story to all of it. People spend their entire professional careers to understand the science behind these studies done in relation to nutrition. How would anyone without that background even start to grasp a fraction of this realm?
Well, it's either do or don't. Sure, it took its time, but after that?
A world opens up. A different side of the mountain illuminates. The angle you see food from changes. The world we live in is so ferociously negligent for its inhabitants, so willingly, blatantly, destructively careless, it's hard to stomach. No pun, nor even pun intended. I think it is in the mind of everyone out there to know what actually is going on. Or would you like to wake up to an article one day telling you how the stuff you eat literally kills you? Or that the vanilla flavoring in your favorite chocolate spread is made from a bud of a beaver? This gives damn a whole new meaning. Quite interesting to see, no? How all these ingredients mixed together can make a nice looking, tasty spread like this. Yes? What if we would rerun the blender and see what else we can find? Here you can see the flavor in question of being kind of as vanilla flavoring, followed by lecithin, fat-reduced cocoa powder, skimmed milk powder, some hazelnuts, and yeah, that's a lot of sugar. By weight, these spreads are the cheapest and most addictive ingredient: sugar. Yes, you heard that right. Sugar is extremely addictive. Did you know that sugar has drug-like effects like cocaine or heroin? And that is a reason. Something that naturally comes prepackaged in nature with other things that don't make it as detrimental as it is on its own. What is this even? And where does it come from? Sugar is energy, excess energy, stored by plants to use up in the future, when times are rough. We humans also found that out some time ago. We humans know that those things are sweet. We humans thought, hey, I like sweet, but the part where I have to pick, prepare and chew my food is just way too much work for me. So sometime later, some dude had the brilliant idea of stripping the outer, unnecessary tough and probably way too healthy plant part away to its core sweetness, the sugars. Sugar was first produced from sugarcane plants in India sometime after the 1st century AD. It became known worldwide by the end of the medieval period. Sugar was very expensive and was considered a fine spice. But from the year 1500 on, technological improvements and new world sources began turning it into a much more cheaper bulk commodity. Man, the wars, trades, blockages, political moves or whatever those civilized gentlemen did back then surely imprinted a certain aftertaste for sugar. Because of sugar. What a weird thing to say. The average person consumes about 24 kilograms of sugar each year nowadays, with North and South Americans consuming up to 50 kilograms and Africans about 20. A nice ripe berry off a bush, an apple off the tree, or whatever you may find in your local flora. The flavors differ as much as the context and shapes these foods are found in. Sweet means sugar, lots of it. And lots of sugar means lots of calories. That help us march on. We always survived the best we could in nature. Every living creature has to. I explained long and adamant already that everything just survives the best it can. So it wouldn't make sense that food just lays or hangs around just like that, right? Well, just being able to walk or even climb up whatever tree that you have in your target qualifies you to some extent. That you did something right, evolutionary. That your physical form is qualified, working enough to do that. But truly challenging, this is not. You see, everything comes with a cost. A tree, usually not on the prowl or moving around that much, also has its mission to pass on its genes into the next generation. And to do that, it has found a different way to pass on its seeds. Literally, the excess energy of trees is stored in its fruits, where also their seeds reside in. It is their take on reproduction. They package their excess nutrients into these seed bombs and wait. Wait for something to happen. Maybe it will fall and will create a tree, right there. Or something comes and snatches it away. Something, or someone like you. Somewhere at some point in time, some life form found out that you can eat these things. An arms race and later on a quasi-symbiosis started to occur. Certain animals can only exist because of one certain tree. Certain flowers only will bloom with the right pollination of exactly that one species of insects. Certain biospheres only exist because of an intricate, delicate dance of these factors perfectly fitting together.
Competing for sunlight in the dense rainforest, the strangler fig takes advantage of other trees to find its way up and exploit the pole position in the canopy to reproduce. But for this, it depends on a bizarre creature that you might have never even heard of, the fig wasp. This minuscule insect is just around 2 millimeters long. The wasp's life cycle is deeply intertwined with the fig. She knows that the only way to get into the fruit is through a tiny hole on the bottom. She has to sacrifice her wings in order to get through the tight nozzle, but she won't mind, as she knows that she'll never fly again. Once inside, the strangler fig shuts the entrance to its fruit. Thus, the final act of the wasp's life is to lay her eggs in the cavity. After that, she will die in there. Over time, the flowers and the wasp eggs develop, and the fig transforms into a mature fruit.
You probably already heard your mama talk about how good of a snack these berries are. So the next snack for you probably, maybe, will be these berries. I know they will be for me. The purple color is not by chance. These are defense mechanisms against sunlight and unwanted predators. Plants also often use things like toxins or poisons to not just get snacked away like that. Not the case here though. Biting in a cold, sour, sweet, juicy apple on a hot summer day is one of the true delights you can have in life. So it would make sense that other animals would do that too. Some are able to eat these things, some are not. You probably already heard of that you should not, under any circumstances, give your dog some chocolate. But for some humans, it's nearly daily in their hands. It's good. Take this apple for an example. The fruit flesh is superb, but the pit is usually not as tasty. If this pit is not destroyed by chewing or our digestive tract, the seeds inside of that pit will come out the other side intact, sitting in a nice, nutrient-rich pile of fertilizer, carried there by an animal, or you to a targeted destination. A new tree may develop now. It happens, I guess. And that is why this concept works. Trees may get rid of poisons, pollutants or heavy water through this, for that when an animal eats it and suffers from it, it will maybe, possibly die from it. leaving the seeds in another rich pile of nutrients. Don't get me wrong though, I also like it sweet, but I also like it helpful for my goals, which is staying healthy and doing things. Humans do have a sweet tooth though, but also amongst other taste preferences. We humans have the nice evolutionary gift of being able to experience lots of different flavors, you know? Something tasting as delicious as a full ripe fruit? Yes. Something tasting a little bit off? Oh. Some tingly bitterness? Ew. Some old sports socks flavor in the food of your hands? No. Better not eat that. I said, better not eat that. Caution is what we always had to practice. I mean, even now we do. The sweetness in a ripe fruit of a flourishing tree, the sourness a refreshing green apple can deliver, saltiness found in exotic marine foods we don't know we could eat, savory or hearty, found in maybe some potats. Bitterness is an acquired taste. It's all there somewhere. And if not found in your garden, probably in someone else's. May that even be on the other side of the world. Modern globalization allows us to get airdropped ripe fruits picked from not even a day ago. Can get us seeds we have never ever seen in our whole lives, or lets us season our meals with spices that only kings and queens could afford hundreds of years ago. These times we are in are truly unlike everything we have ever seen before that. Eat French breakfast, Italian for lunch, and Indian for dinner. Next day an English breakfast, lunch from Cape Town and a Chinese dinner. Fruity breakfast from Brazil, Iranian dishes for lunch, and a German döner for dinner. You can now eat the wide rainbow of variety our world has to offer at a whim. Nutrition itself often was the first and at times only method of payment in the even earlier days, being one were not the most valuable thing to us living beings. Everything we do is supported by this food web we laid underneath us. Do you know what lays in front of you when you eat? Do you know what you're eating when you put these things into your mouth? I hope at this point you're at least questioning it.